All right, let me just share my screen with you guys, and then we'll just quickly touch up on what needs to happen here when it comes to learning unit 6. Okay. Oop, in the wrong chapter, just flipping through to question 6.1. Okay, for this one, guys, honestly, what I advise to you is you just need to go through the examples and see how they've done it in the examples, and then apply the examples to the questions in preparation. They're very long in terms of the process, all right? Okay, so here under the required, it says identify the best plan for utilization of the 7,500 machine hours, including commentary on the selling price that offers the highest expected annual contribution. Okay. Right. So then what must happen over there? Let's see, what is the rest of the question saying? Dazzle Ltd is considering manufacturing and introducing 2 new products into the market. The research division of Dazzle has provided the following cost specifications for the 2 products. Okay, so here are the cost specifications, the total unit cost, you've got that there. The selling department has provided the following estimates and probabilities of demand and selling prices. Okay, so we've got the probabilities for demand, and we've got the probabilities for the selling prices. Okay, the first bit, yeah. Okay, the selling price, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we've got the low price alternative and the high price alternative. All right, demand estimates are independent for the 2 products. Okay, the factory has a maximum of 75,000 machine hours available. Historically, the company has worked 90% of capacity in making a standardized product Z, which is highly profitable. Okay, the maximum availability of space machine capacity for the new product is 7.5 thousand machine hours. The actual level of demand will be known at the end of at the time of production. Sorry. Then an investigation of fixed costs of the past year have revealed that factory overhead is a linear function of machine hours worked. Okay. The monthly fixed cost is estimated at 12,500 and the variable cost at R1.25 per machine hour. Okay, so we have one job there. Identify the best plan to utilize the 7.5 thousand machine hours. Identify sorry, including commentary on the selling price that offers the highest expected annual contribution. All right. Okay, so okay. So obviously to calculate the probability distribution, what you want to do is you obviously want to work out what is the unit variable cost per product, and then after you've done that, you work out the maximum possible production with limiting factors, okay? All right, and you know that we can only do that after we know, okay, we've got 7,500 machine hours available, which they told us in the question, and then we calculate, okay, fine, how many units can we produce based on that 7,500 for product A1 and product B? And then we work out the contributions. Why are we doing this again? We're doing this so that we can begin to see, okay, which one yields us the highest contribution per unit. And here you can see that it is A, okay? That's sorry, product 1, all right? Then now you have to work out the probabilities based on the demand. So this is the low alternative over here. They started with the low alternative. So remember we said demand times the probability. Okay. So we have okay, so you could have just actually said 1,250 times the probability, okay, of 0.25% times the the contribution or marginal income, and you would have arrived at this. But they've decided to go, okay, the 1,250 demand times 40 gives you 50,000 contribution, then times the probability of that happening of 0.25, and that's how they're getting their total. Same thing, same mathematics, just done differently. Okay, do the same thing for the other potential outcomes, and then if you see again, if you add these probabilities up, you're going to get to 100%. Okay, so when you add up these expected, you get 50,000. Sorry, you get 50,000. Okay, so that's a potential outcome there under the low alternative. All right, that's the most likely potential outcome is that 50,000 there. Then here we're doing the same thing, but now for product 2. Okay, and there you can see your most likely outcome under the low price alternative is that you're going to get 65,625. Note that production and sales are limited to 1,250 for product 1 and 3,750 for product 2. Hence, the contribution will be 50,000 for product 1 and 65,000 for product 2 at their levels of output. Okay, we go to the high alternative. Okay, we're doing the exact same thing, right? And then you expected, okay, why didn't we work this out over here? Here we have for product 2, but we don't have product. Let me go to the answers so you guys can see. Okay, So here you'd get 54,000. Okay, remember here we had 50,000 for product 1 under the low, and here we get 95,000. So here you can see under the answers, we've been assessing the potential outcomes. You can see whether it's under the low price alternative or the high price alternative. You can see product 2 gives us 65,000 here and 95,000 there. And here product 1 gives us 50,000 and 54,000. So in both scenarios, you are getting more bang for your buck from product 2. Okay. So obviously we will produce all of product 2, all right? Because obviously we would earn more money from that. Okay. So that's how that decision there is being made. Then let's go to the second one, exercise 6.2. Okay, so here they're talking to the different risk levels. So I think you should actually attempt that one in your own time. Okay. I think you should definitely attempt that in your own time, but we can definitely just go through it. If you go under the required, it says prepare a summary showing the forecasted new margin of pricey LTD for each possible outcome. On the basis of maximizing expected value, advise a pricey whether the advance contract for machinery hire should be accepted at the low, medium, or high level. Okay, explain how the risk preferences of management who are responsible for the choice of machinery hire contract may alter the decision reached in part 2 above. Okay, so what exactly is happening over here? Let's read the rest of the question. Pricey Ltd is considering hiring its machinery as demand dictates instead of acquiring its own machinery and risk idle time. You are provided with the following information. Pricey will enter into an advance hire agreement contract at one of 3 levels. Okay, so they're entering into a contract that will produce the necessary product. Okay, so they can enter at one of 3 levels, namely high, medium, or low. Okay, which correspond with the level of demand. Okay, the level of demand will be unknown. Okay, when entering into the agreement. However, a demand probability schedule has been drafted by management predicting the level of demand or orders, where the level of machinery hired is less than that required to satisfy demand. The company will have to incur a penalty in order to obtain additional machinery. No refunds is available where the level of machinery hired is in excess of the required to satisfy demand. Excess of that required to satisfy demand. Okay, so what's going on here is you find that there's a business that's going into a contract to have its products manufactured for it, But in going into the contract, they don't have certainty in terms of demand. Okay, management has obviously made some predictions on the levels of demand, but obviously, if the amount of products are insufficient to cover the demand, then they obviously are going to be penalized, all right? Because obviously to upgrade into the new contract. If the demand is greater than what they actually, sorry, the supply is greater than the actual demand that they require, then obviously that excess is going to be wasted, or they're paying for excess that is not getting spent, okay, or used. Okay, so there you have the respective turnovers for high, medium, and low, and you have the probabilities, and then advanced higher cost, okay, the cost of the contract, and then penalties. If you're to move from low to high contract, there's your penalty. If you're to move from medium to high, there's your penalty. If you to move from low to high, there's your penalty right there, the 1,720,000. Okay, right. So then now what they want us to do, first thing, prepare a summary showing the forecasted new margin of pricey LTD for each possible outcome. Okay, so now we're saying, okay, cool. Variable cost is 65% of turnover. Okay, cool. So that means that our margin, what's this, marginal income or contribution is, if you look there, it says variable costs are 65% of turnover. That means that our marginal income is then the difference between 100%. Let me write it down. 100% minus the 65%, which is your variable cost percentage of turnover. Okay, that means that the marginal income is then 35% of turnover. I'm saying marginal income, but that's the same as the contribution. Okay. So then what's happening here is we're saying, okay, what we're then saying is we're saying, okay, cool. What are the potential payoffs that we can have from the high level? Okay, so from high level, we could have a payoff of 12,000, all right, but then we want to remove the variable cost. We only want the actual, what do you call this? Contribution or marginal income. So 0.35 times the 12,000, assuming that demand is high, all right? That's how much the payoff should be. Then minus the contract, how much we're paying for it, okay? Which is the 1,840,000. Okay, that's the payoff we would get if demand is high and we've obviously entered into this contract. If demand is medium, hence why you have medium here, but we've gone into the high contract, then we're saying this 6.8 million, all right, that's the demand or the revenue, the turnover that we're going to get, then times the contribution again, then we're saying we entered into a high contract even though the demand is medium, because remember, the demand is what we will experience after having gone into the contract, okay? So then you'll see here, our payoff would then, in that scenario, be 540. But if demand is low and we went into the high contract, we're actually going to make a loss of 720,000. We do the same thing for the medium. If demand is high, but we went into the medium contract, okay? What we're then saying is, okay, we'll work out our contribution there. But then we're going to need to actually pay a penalty, okay, for medium to high. And you see, to enter the medium contract, we pay 1.2 million. To enter into the high contract from medium to high, we need to pay another 1,040,000. Why? Because we're being penalized. Okay. Okay. And then you find that, oh, okay, our payoff is then 1,960,000. Okay. Right. So that's how we arrive at that. So you do that for the medium, the whole. So here there's no penalty because we're saying demand is medium, and we've entered into the medium contract. So there's no penalty there. Here demand is low. Demand is low, but we've entered into the medium contract. Okay. So if we've gone into the medium contract but demand is low, then we actually make a loss. Okay. Then we're saying if we enter into the low contract, sorry, and yet demand is high, then we're obviously going to be penalized for going into the high contract, okay, which is this 1,720,000, but we do end up making a profit of 1,680,000. Okay. We entered into the medium contract, the low contract, but demand is medium. Okay, we're going to be penalized 680,000. Okay, all right. That 800,000 again is the cost of going into that low contract. Okay, demand is low. We've entered into the low contract. All right, and we have a profit of 320. So we have all these outcomes, and then we have to obviously times them by the probabilities. Okay, we know that for any high contract, for a high contract, all right, we have the probability of 30%. All right, let me not say high contract. For high turnover, we have the probability of 30%. For medium turnover, we have a probability of 50%. For low turnover, we have a probability of 20%. Okay, so we're basically then taking those probabilities and then timesing them by the payoff, and that's how we're arriving at the expected values. Okay. Okay, so then when we go to expected value of high contract, what we've done is we've added all these high contract expected values, okay, and that's how we're getting this 834,000. Medium, we do the same, add all those expected values under the different scenarios, and we get this 1,162,000. Low, we do the exact same, and we have 1,018,000. Okay. Okay, so here they're then saying the medium higher contract should be entered into. It yields the highest expected payoff. Okay, so if you look here, this is the expected payoff, 834,000 for the high, and here for the medium, you get 1,162,000. Okay, can you see that's the highest? Because here at the low, you get 1,018,000. Okay, so it's the safest bet, even if you have the low or medium demand, slightly to yield you the most. Okay, then risk averse. Okay, risk averse management would adapt a maxi-min approach. Therefore, will adopt the worst possible outcome for each alternative and then select the alternative with the maximum payoff. Okay, looking at each hiring type, the lowest contribution for each would be, okay, hence risk-averse managers will select the low initial higher level contribution of 320,000. Okay. Risk-taking management would opt for the max approach and adopt the outcome with the highest possible payoff, which is this 2 million. 360,000, which is high. Okay, hence risk-taking managers would select a high initial higher level. Then we have risk neutral. Risk neutral management is interested in the alternative that will yield a profit in the long term. Hence, risk neutral management will most likely select the medium initial higher level, which has the highest average profit of 1,162,000. Okay, so I want you guys, for homework, I want you guys to actually go and read up on the maxi min, maxi max, okay, those risk profiles, okay, then that portion of this question will make sense to you. All right, guys, I think for today let's leave it at this. I don't want to actually go any further. You just have that that last exercise 6.3 to do in your own time, but again, just go through your example 6.6 what example is that, 6.5, before going through that, and then you should be okay. Right, but otherwise for today, that's it from my side. I don't know if there's anything you